I'm uncomfortable because we're talking about traumatic childhood experiences. We have to talk about something that I have been keeping inside for a long time. It's time for me to be honest, for me to let you know a part of me that I have been keeping to myself that I have struggled with, and I'm done struggling. I am done pretending to be someone that I'm not, and that is why I'm sitting here today. To let you know I'm gay.
Okay, and what do you want me to do about that?
Do you guys remember when every video used to be like that? When it was like, there was this like grace period for YouTube where every other video was literally just people's coming out videos, and they all had that like,
when I was young, I knew I was different from other boys.
I'm not mocking those videos. Like, when I was on the verge of coming out, I needed those. I watched every single coming out video. I watched Gigi's both times, Roy's, Rhodes Bros, Ingrid Nilsson, Connor Franta, and now it is time for me to admit to you, I like men. Well, I'm attracted to men. Embarrassing, I know. I'm generally aware that a lot of the people who follow me are on the verge of coming out, or figuring out how to come out, or struggling with their own identity, or whatever. And I've been there. I think sometimes people see me and they see this like flamboyant who's wearing eyeshadow out to here and drinking iced coffee every day, and my nails are obnoxiously long, and they think that I've always been like this, but the truth is, I haven't. I struggled too. So I'm here today to share with you my coming out story. We're gonna look at some frightening pictures, and you're gonna hold my hand through this because this is scary. Now, starting with the obvious, when did I know I was gay? Honestly, I always did know I was
Different from the other boys?
like, I was always very feminine and like soft, like guys would call me soft, and I was like, is it about my skin? When I got to middle school, when I was around 10 years old, I started forming these friendships with men that were really like strong and passionate to me, but at the time it was just like, oh, I really want to be good friends with them. Because of compet, which is compulsory heterosexuality, I was really convinced that those friendships to me were just really intense and really all-consuming for me emotionally, even though I was literally like 12. Little did I know, I actually wanted to date them. But there was a lot of that, you know, really intense feelings emotionally and physically towards other men that I just kind of passed off as, I want to be like them and I want to be friends with them. The actual moment I knew I was gay, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on a weekend ski trip with a bunch of boys. So, okay, backstory to this. My family and a bunch of other families that we're friends with have done this thing every year for so many years. We call it the boys trip, and it's basically this weekend that we drive up to Vermont and ski for a weekend. And we were on that trip, and I think I was 10 years old. A bunch of us were in the hotel room, and I was always like the youngest person on these trips. Like, you know, it was with my brothers and my brother's friends and my dad and my dad's friends. And at one point I was like laying down in bed about to take a nap. I was really tired in the middle of the day, and my brother's friend was like changing his shirt for something.
Oh, okay.
And I remember seeing him. And I remember seeing him changing, and in my head, I was like, I am gay. And it was really the first time where I was like, oh, that is what I am. Up until that point, I had never really understood the word gay. I didn't really know what it meant. I didn't even know that it was a possibility for people of the same gender to be attracted to each other in like a meaningful way. Again, back to compet, I thought heterosexuality was the only thing. I'm 21 now, and this was 10 years ago, and there wasn't really the same like gay representation in the media, and it was, the idea of being gay just wasn't even on my radar. So when I had that moment where I looked at my friend changing, and I was like, that's a man, and I want that.
It is very odd behavior, and that is very weird. Like, I'm telling you, I swear, it is very weird.
That was fucking terrifying. So, I spent the next 5 years really repressing who I was. that is really bad for your mental health. I remember so many times just like sitting in the back of the car, like with my parents driving me to school or whatever, and I would look out the window and think, this is a phase. Everybody has this. Everybody has a phase where after your parents put you to bed, you sneak to the computer in the dark and watch gay porn, right? Everybody has that. So anyway, I'd be sitting in the back of the car and just thinking, this is a phase, this is going to end, and I'm gonna marry a woman, because that is what's gonna happen. I also come from a pretty traditional Jewish family where the idea of family and being a family unit and being close all the time with everyone in your family is like super important, and having kids who you stay close with is really important. And I thought the absolute only way that I could ever achieve that kind of happiness was to be with a woman. I would pursue efforts to have like heterosexual relationships online, like when I was really young.
Please, just give us a break. Please just give us a break.
Like, this is what I'm telling you, being in the closet so deeply at such a young age causes so much trauma that I don't think we're talking about enough. To be 10, 11, 12, 13 years old and be having such profound secrets about who you are and who you love and what your future is gonna look like when you're literally a child, that causes childhood trauma. And I think more LGBTQ people should be seeing therapists and dealing with that. I'm still dealing with that. Anyway, I had a profile online on a website called WeMe, which you could almost think of it as like a predecessor to The Sims. You would have your own little cartoon profile avatar and you could interact with other people, like strangers. I remember you had to be 13 years old to make a profile, but I made one when I was like 11, which I thought was pretty fucking crazy. I would like exchange flirtatious messages with older women. I remember one time a family friend was over and she like looked over my shoulder when I was on the computer. It was like a desktop computer, and she saw a message that this woman had left on my WeMe profile that was like, can't wait to go on a date with you, or something like that. She was like, Matthew, what is that? And I was like, I don't know. But the truth is, I was much more scared of her finding out that I was secretly gay than her finding out that I was exchanging some messages with an older woman online. The scariest thing when you're so deep in the closet is people finding out, because it feels like they can take control over something that you don't have control over. Mind you, this was all happening when I looked like this. Hot. I feel like these pictures, like, looking at them now, I'm like, fuck, everybody fucking knew I was gay. That hair gel, the shorts, that Urban Outfitters t-shirt that I still have, the Vans. This is closeted couture. This is iconic. The dip-dyed t-shirt.
Pretty legendary if you ask me. I love it. And this era will always have such a close place in my heart. Like, I cherish every era.
Anyway, I continued to repress my sexuality, and I had some friends at the time, shocking though it is, and we used to talk about like our crushes on girls and how we would fantasize about snuggling and kissing girls.
It's getting weird.
But I was genuinely so deep inside that lie that I convinced myself that I really wanted to snuggle and kiss girls too. We would literally talk in detail about like our dream dates with these different girls that were in our fucking 5th grade class. And when I had those conversations, I didn't feel like I was lying, because I'd convinced myself that what I wanted was a relationship with a woman. Eventually, one of those heterosexual fantasies came true, and I had a girlfriend. That was in 8th grade until high school started. We dated for a very beautiful, very romantic 4 months. And eventually we broke up, not because I was gay, but because I was gay. Around the time that we broke up is when I started very seriously using the extremely gay website Tumblr. I don't know what experience some of you have with Tumblr, and I know it's also very different now since they banned porn. Tumblr, like 5 years ago, was like basically just home to all the closeted gays. Let me know if that's still the case. I hope it is. And on Tumblr, I found so many closeted, cute gay guys, and we would just become friends. I had the app Kick at the time. what an era. Like, there were so many just closeted gay boys and we would talk. Not about being closeted and not even about boys or being gay, but just kind of, we all knew about each other and none of us really felt like we had people to go to in real life. So we were kind of each other's confidants at age 14. And finally, there was this boy named Jordan. I wish I knew where he was today. He was out in real life and we were Tumblr friends and we were talking pretty like romantically over the internet.
Oh, okay.
And I was 15 and one day I was like, I think I'm gonna come out.
Yes.
And of course he encouraged me to, but also he didn't really give a shit. Like, he didn't really know me. He just knew me from Tumblr. But it was this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to live this in real life. I'm ready to not lie anymore.
Absolutely.
Because at that point I did know I was lying, and I did know that I wasn't gonna marry a woman, and I did know that I wanted to be with a man. So a week after I told Jordan from Tumblr that I was gonna come out, I came out. First person I told was my friend Olivia. I remember we went to the Starbucks that was in my hometown. It was one day after school. I ordered a caramel apple spice because I was too much of a little to actually drink coffee. And after we got coffee, I was like, I need to tell you something, but it has to be in private, and can you follow me? She was like, sure. And you know what, in hindsight, like, she fucking knew. Everybody knew. Even before I had the nails, I don't think it's hard for you to understand that I could never blend as a straight person. Like, it was a hopeless thing for me, trying to pass as straight.
I know. No, reason being, no, I know. No.
Olivia followed me behind some building in the downtown area of where we live, and I was shaking. I remember I was like, now I'm shaking because of the caffeine. Anxiety ASMR. I remember it took every ounce of emotional and physical energy I had to be like, I like boys. And immediately I started crying really hard and we hugged. I kind of like leaned against the wall that we were standing near and I sat down and I just started crying and like people walked past and they were like pointing to me, like gesturing to me and then to her and being like, is he okay? And she was like, yeah, he's fine, just, you know. And that was basically how it happened. Side story, that night I texted her and I was like,
what if I'm bisexual?
She was like, well, are you bi? And I was like, I don't know, I think Lana Del Rey is like really pretty. And she was like, Matt, you're gay. And I was like, yeah, I am gay. So for the next like 6 months, I came out to people in my life very slowly, one by one. It was always dramatic, but increasingly less dramatic, decreasingly dramatic, whatever. And people in my school and my friends, etc., just started to know. It became less of a secret. Then, in the summer between my freshman and my sophomore year of high school, I had my first boyfriend. We'll call him Frank. Frank was someone who was a few years older than me. He had just graduated from my high school. So he was 18 and I was 15, which in hindsight, it's a little, I know the age difference it's a lot, but this is my story. Frank and I basically had, that's not his real name, a summer fling, but the thing was, I wasn't out to my parents yet.
Oh, okay.
And I was out to all of my friends, but my parents didn't know shit. And I couldn't drive, so Frank would drive. And I was literally seeing him like every other day throughout the summer. I kept it so secret from my parents that I remember, because I couldn't drive, I would ask my dad to drop me off in front of the coffee shop in our town. He would leave. I would walk to the back of the coffee shop, and there was a parking lot in the back, and Frank would pick me up, and then we would drive off somewhere. And in hindsight, it's kind of romantic and cute, but in the moment, I had so much anxiety that they would find out. It felt like this dark but very magical secret that I had. I hope Frank is doing well, and if he's watching this, I hope you're doing well. He left for college as I was starting my sophomore year of high school, and we broke up. I was absolutely heartbroken. That was genuinely very difficult because I didn't just love our relationship. I felt that my being gay and that secret that I was keeping from my family was kind of tied up in that relationship. A few weeks after he left for college and we were no longer together, I came out to my mom. It was really dramatic. She was in a bathroom and I walked into the bathroom. I was like, Mom. She was like, Matthew, I am in the bathroom. And I was like, Mom, I'm gay. And once again, I was crying all over the place. It was a mess. And when I came out to my mom, she said, I love you and I don't care who you end up with or what their gender is, but please don't go and dye your hair and start acting crazy and really feminine and all of this stuff. I have to give a disclaimer here because I love my mother and we have an excellent relationship and she accepts me fully for who I am. We do our makeup together now when I see her. I absolutely love her, and I couldn't ask for a more supportive mother. But at the time, we had a lot of learning to do, and she had a lot of internalized homophobia from messaging that she'd internalized about what gay people are like. And I had a lot of internalized homophobia too. So when she told me that she loved me, but please don't go dye your hair, I was like, no, of course I would never do that. I'm not like one of those gays. As it turns out, I'm not just one of those gays, I am those gays. So basically, in the first couple of years that I was out, I looked like this, and this. But then, I did go to my first gay pride in New York City with my lovely friend Catherine, and at my first pride parade, I was exposed to so many people who expressed themselves so freely and who were just like, no, this is who I am. I don't give a fuck if you accept me or not. This is just who I am. Once I saw that there were people who lived like that, there was no turning back for me whatsoever. So I started to experiment, and it was a little bit, it just was what it was. But there were a lot of fights with my parents who were not yet ready to accept a flamboyant son. They weren't yet ready to accept a boy who painted his nails for a son. They weren't ready to accept a boy who wore mascara. Lucky for them, I don't even worry about a lot of mascara anymore because I just put on fake eyelashes. And then they did come around eventually. That made a huge difference in me being able to fully accept myself, and now I'm this. So that is the gist of my coming out story. There's a lot of pain and shame and nuance that comes with the internalized homophobia and the internalized femphobia that I felt in the years after I came out, and that I still feel, frankly, that I'm still learning to get over. However, I think that internalized homophobia deserves its own video.
Absolutely.
If you want to see a more complete video about internalized homophobia, let me know. I think there's a lot to say on that, but I kind of wanted to keep this video as strictly my coming out story. So now you know how I came out. I haven't thought about a lot of this in a long time. I'm uncomfortable because we're talking about traumatic childhood experiences. I'm gonna go now. I'm also not wearing pants. Welcome to my OnlyFans. Bye!